My life ended the moment I saw my wife Maya Collins kissing another man in a restaurant on what was supposed to be our 10th wedding anniversary. I did not know then that the real destruction had already been happening for more than a year. Quietly hidden behind late work nights, empty excuses, and a smile I had trusted completely, I also did not know that I was sitting only a few steps away from a private investigator who was about to turn my entire world into a weapon against something much bigger than my marriage. My name is Evan Carter, and I worked as an electrician in Richmond, Virginia. I was not rich, not famous, not special in any obvious way. I built my life with my hands, one wire, one circuit, one job at a time. I had a wife I believed loved me and two children named Eli and Sophie, who were the center of my world. On the surface, everything looked stable, even ordinary, but sometimes ordinary lives hide the most dangerous kind of collapse. The kind you do not see coming until you are already standing inside the ruins. I met Maya Collins when I was in my early 30s. She was working at a law office, organized, sharp, always carrying a sense of ambition that made her feel slightly out of reach. I was the opposite. A working man with calloused hands and long days in crawl spaces and construction sites. Somehow it worked between us. We built a home, we built routines, and we built two children who made everything feel meaningful even on the hardest days. For years, I believed we were solid. We argued about small things, like bills or schedules, but we always came back to each other. I worked long hours running my electrical business, Sable Electric. While Maya advanced in her career, she started coming home later and later. But I told myself it was just responsibility growing heavier. I trusted her completely. That trust was the foundation of everything I thought I had. On the evening of our 10th anniversary, I sat in my truck outside a restaurant called Bastion in Richmond. I had flowers beside me, Stargazer Lila, the same kind we had on our wedding day. I wore a suit I had bought carefully because I wanted the night to matter, but then I received a message from Maya saying she was stuck at work and would make it up later. There was nothing unusual in the words, nothing that should have warned me. Still, something inside me refused to go home. I went into the restaurant alone, planning to eat quietly and leave. I chose a table near the back, placed the flowers on the empty seat across from me, and tried to convince myself that I was simply celebrating differently this year. But everything changed when I looked across the room and saw her. Maya was there in a black dress I had bought her months earlier. She was sitting across from a man I did not recognize at first. Older, confident, dressed like someone who belonged in expensive places. They were close, too close, speaking softly, laughing in a way I had not heard from her in a long time. Then I saw them kiss. It was not a mistake or a polite gesture. It was familiar and real, like something that had been happening long before this moment. My body reacted before my mind could. I stood up, ready to confront them, ready to explode in front of everyone, ready to destroy everything in that room the same way my life was being destroyed in front of me. But before I could take another step, a woman grabbed my arm and told me to sit down. The woman introduced herself as Harper Blake. She was calm in a way that felt almost unnatural, like she had spent her entire life controlling chaos. She told me she was a private investigator, and that she had been watching the man sitting with my wife for months. His name was Victor Langston, a wealthy executive with power, money, and secrets that stretched far beyond what I could see in that restaurant. Harper told me my wife was not just having an affair, she was part of something structured, something financial and dangerous. She explained that Victor had a history of relationships inside his company, and that one of his former wives had built a legal trap around him. If he repeated certain behavior, he would owe millions in penalties. As I listened, my mind struggled to process the idea that my personal pain was connected to something so calculated. Harper then revealed something that made my stomach drop even further. My wife Maya had been receiving monthly payments for more than a year, large amounts of money transferred into a private account under her name, more than $200,000 in total. I kept staring at the numbers, trying to find a version of reality where this did not exist. But every detail was documented. Every transaction was real. Every lie I had believed suddenly looked like part of a system designed to keep me blind. Harper told me she had been hired by the ex-wife of Victor Langston to build a case against him. Maya was part of that case without even realizing it. Her relationship was the trigger that could collapse his entire financial structure. But in order for it to work, everything had to be documented carefully. No confrontation, no emotional explosion, only evidence. I sat there frozen, watching Maya laugh across the room while everything I believed about my marriage broke apart inside me. Harper told me I had a choice. I could stand up and confront them right now, which would give me nothing except humiliation and chaos. Or I could let the situation play out and gain something far more powerful. She told me that if I stayed calm, her team would gather proof of everything happening that night. Hotel records, photographs, financial evidence, everything would be recorded. It would not just expose the affair, it would expose the structure behind it. I did not answer immediately. I looked at the flowers I had brought, the same flowers I had given Maya every year for a decade. I thought about my children at home, Eli sleeping with his baseball glove beside him and Sophie holding her stuffed toy like she always did. I thought about how easily my entire life had been split into before and after in a single moment. Finally, I sat back down. I left the restaurant alone later that night. I did not confront Maya. I did not create a scene. I walked out carrying those flowers like they belonged to someone else now. Behind me, my wife continued her dinner with another man while unknowingly stepping deeper into a situation that would soon destroy everything she had built. At home, I stood in my children's rooms for a long time, watching them sleep. Their breathing was steady, innocent, and touched by the collapse happening around them. In that silence, something inside me changed. It was not rage anymore. It was clarity. A cold understanding that my life was no longer something I needed to save. It was something I needed to rebuild from the ground up after tearing away everything false. The next morning, Harper sent me everything: records, photos, financial data, proof of the affair and proof of the hidden payments. My attorney explained how strong the case was. Maya had been living a double life for more than a year, and every piece of evidence confirmed it. Months later, everything collapsed exactly as Harper predicted. Victor Langston lost his protection when the legal trigger activated. The financial penalty was enforced, his reputation began to crumble, and Maya found herself standing in court facing the consequences of choices she believed would never reach her. I did not feel victorious. I did not feel relief. What I felt was distance, like I had stepped out of a life that no longer belonged to me, and was finally able to see it clearly from the outside. My children stayed with me, my work continued. My life slowly rebuilt itself, not into what it was before, but into something more honest. I learned that betrayal does not just break trust, it rewrites reality. And sometimes the only way forward is not revenge or confrontation, but the quiet decision to walk away from the version of your life that was never real in the first place.